Hello and welcome to another bonus edition of the Quantum Creating Podcast, bringing the world of the formless into form and other true stories with me, Paul Webb, your quantum mentor. And I was again inspired to bring you a midweek bonus podcast, mainly due to the acceleration of worldwide events and events here in the UK, where I am based, but also because of the success of the previous short bonus midweek podcast I did a couple of weeks ago, which was very well received, and I'm more grateful than ever to receive your feedback, your comments, and your kind words on all the episodes that I do here at the Quantum Creating Podcast. It truly is a podcast for you, which I'm delighted to bring you each and every week, along with my superb guests, and lots more to come over the next over the next few weeks and months. But I was driven to bring this to you today because of a Facebook Live I actually did yesterday, I think it was. If you haven't caught up with current events, and I don't think there's anyone on the planet that hasn't, let's be honest, you'll know that here in the UK, as in most places in the world, we're currently on lockdown because of the coronavirus. We are just literally starting week 2 of our 3-week lockdown. And to be fair, from my perspective, I've been able to sit back and observe what's going on without really getting too attached to it. It's the situation we find ourselves in, the conditions I can do nothing about externally, but I can do everything about the internal conditions and the way I view what's going on, and therefore how I think, how I visualize, how I feel, and the actions I take or don't take, which are all down to me. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. Today I'm going to talk to you about something called calmness of mind. Now, calmness of mind comes from James Allen's wonderful A Man Thinketh. The book was written in, I think, 1902, so it's getting on for 120 years old, but it has never been more relevant than it is today. It's a very short book. I've referenced it many, many times on this podcast and on all other trainings and videos I do. It's one of my most favourite books. I read it all the time. And there's a chapter, I think it's the last chapter actually, called Serenity, where this calmness of mind phrase comes from. And in it, Allen says, calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It's the result of long and patient effort in self-control. Its presence is an indication of ripened experience and of a more than ordinary knowledge of the laws and operations of thought. A man becomes calm in the measure that he understands himself as a thought-evolved being, for such knowledge necessitates the understanding of others as the result of thought, and as he develops a right understanding and sees more and more clearly the internal relations of things by the action of cause and effect, he ceases to fuss and fume and worry and grieve, and remains poised, steadfast, serene. Now think about that for a moment and relate it to the current situation we find ourselves in as a collective, and you find yourselves in as an individual. Calmness of mind is one of the beautiful jewels of wisdom. It takes wisdom. That means it takes knowledge and applied practice to become calm of mind. We are taught to question everything. We are taught to believe in things that aren't necessarily true. We are taught to actually believe in illusion. Now, here's the thing. There cannot be enlightenment. There cannot be an awakening if the opposite isn't there. That means that there is an illusion. There is a dream state of which we have to wake up from. That's just the way the universe works. The universe works by exact law. One of the laws is the law of opposites. If I take a big step up, I have to take a big step down. If I take a small step up, I have to take a small step down. This is law. Calmness of mind comes about by applying knowledge that we've learned, that we've taught ourselves or been taught by others, and practiced consistently. And it certainly is a beautiful jewel of wisdom. when Alan talks about the result of long and patient effort in self-control, it does take self-control. It does take self-discipline. You have to consistently show up and practice day after day after day. It has to become your way of being. That's how you awaken from an illusory state. That's how you awaken from a dream state. You first become aware of the dream state, and then you put practices in place to wake up from it and move forward away from it. Its presence is an indication of ripened experience. We're here to gain experience. That's what this living is all about. It's about gaining experience in this wonderful thing called life, however it is, and growing from it. So rather than by being affected negatively from it, we can choose to look at it as a positive experience and get on and do stuff that we hadn't considered necessarily before. You see, when this energy comes into our mind, it's neutral, it just is. We decide whether to give it negative or positive slant. If you give it a negative slant, you set up a fear mechanism. If you give it a positive slant, you set up a faith mechanism. The difference between the two? Well, there is no difference. Faith and fear are both defined as belief in things as yet unseen. You choose whether you put fear into it or whether you put faith into it. The difference? Understanding, knowledge, wisdom. When you understand things, when you can observe things for what they are rather than attaching a label or a narrative to them, you are able to move forward in faith, because no matter how bad this lockdown and the coronavirus gets, it too shall pass. Well, I hope that helps. I'm more than happy to jump on and give you a brief little insight into a different way of thinking. Hopefully that's got you thinking in a different way. Helped by Mr. James Allen from the wonderful As A Man Thinketh. Do yourself a favour while you're off from work, get the book, study the book, implement the book. And I'll see you next Monday with another episode of the Quantum Creating Podcast. Bye for now.